The thing that I would say about nuclear energy markets and where we're heading is think people haven't fully unpacked the implications of the war in Ukraine for the long-term prospects of nuclear energy.
Right.
And I'm now starting to do surveys with a large group of people, global surveys actually in several dozen countries, and trying to figure out, what are the results of the war in Ukraine. And there are two dueling dynamics here that I think are really important. One is the energy crisis, which has been created by countries cutting off oil, natural gas exports from Russia and sanctions markets, and Russia having to find new markets. And we've seen, for example, in Germany, that the plan post Fukushima to turn off all of the nuclear power plants, well, their lifespan has been delayed. But so I think that's on one hand, that might be appealing as far as nuclear energy as a viable alternative, thinking
Hmm.
about climate change, but also the energy crisis. But on the other hand, I'm sitting here in Europe where I have interviews with the media from several different countries about what are the nuclear risks at Zaporozhye and Russian conventional military activities that are going on at the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. And scarily enough, if we had a serious accident at the nuclear power plant at Zaporozhye in Europe, I think it would probably be worse than the use of a tactical nuclear weapon. But I think that the effects around the world are heterogeneous. It is my belief, and we'll see it as far as nuclear energy markets, despite what we see with Germany with nuclear energy, I think that except in France, which has a very well established nuclear energy market, I actually think the appeal of nuclear energy is going to be substantially less in Europe in the future. And I think it's as a result of all the scaremongering and all the videos that we've seen about the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and also the fact that a lot of countries that are in Central and Eastern Europe are actually dependent upon getting their nuclear fuel from Russia. And I think they're increasingly less interested in doing so. And the reactors are designed to get nuclear fuel from Russia. So I think we see that on one hand. But I also think that we're going to see a boon in nuclear energy because of the changes in energy markets, particularly in the global south. And we already see this beginning to
Mm.
happen now, that there's vast interest in nuclear energy. If you look in, for example, in Ghana, in Nigeria, and other countries. And when you start to talk to populations in those countries, surprise, surprise, they're not really scared about what's going on in Zaporozhye. It's not as proximate to them. And one of the other things is, as Russia's exports on different commodities have been cut off and have been sanctioned, one of the areas that Russia remains very active is being the world's largest provider of nuclear fuel and nuclear technology. And I think that
Right.
Russia needs new outlets. And a lot of countries, in fact, that were unwilling to condemn the Russian invasion did so out of the idea of trade relationships with Russia. And many of them are banking on future nuclear energy markets and modernization from Russia. So I think it's going to be really interesting seeing what happens. And ironically enough, I think what we might see is countries that view themselves as foes or adversaries of Russia will probably take a turn away from nuclear energy, where countries which are more friendly or desire ties with Russia may actually turn more towards nuclear energy. All speculation now, still working on the research, processing the data,
Sure.
but I think it'll be quite fascinating.